Hey, Sooner football fans. This is your Sooner football fans podcast. And it's Tailgate Like a Champion and Beat the Bruins podcast. We have our regular people on here, Adrienne with Adriennes Brew, Tim Harless with Cooking the Competition, and Dan Donelly with Tailgate Games. We also have former Sooner PJ Mills on with us, sharing Sooner memories and talking Sooner football. Sooner football fans is not affiliated with the University of Oklahoma, but do have eligibility left. Boomer. Hey, Sooner football fans. You got Terry and Rob here. Boomer, Rob.
Boomer, Terry.
And it's time for our Tailgate Like a Champion and Beat the Bruins podcast.
Heck yeah.
Yay. So, also we want to say it's brought to you by our friends at Tailgate Connect. Folks, if you have a tailgate at a Sooners game and you like to share the fun with other Sooner fans, go to Tailgate Connect, register your tailgate as a host tailgate for Sooner games, or if you're a Sooner fan who wants to tailgate and you just don't have the time to prepare and get out and get a space and all the stuff you have to do a tailgate, you need to go to Tailgate Connect and sign up to attend a Sooner tailgate. It's easy. Go to www.tailgateconnect.com, register as a host tailgate, or sign up to attend a tailgate. Remember to put Sooner Football Fans Podcast in the referral box. Rob, why wouldn't you go do that if you needed a tailgate to go to?
Man, I would do it, and you and I are going to do it next year at UCLA when we go up there.
We're going to go to Dan's tailgate, and I think he's going to come to ours, and I think we're talking about registering ours here pretty soon. I'm still getting our feet wet on a tailgate. I've always attended. I've never hosted one, so it's kind of different.
Well, it's a lot of work. Early Saturday morning, you're on track to do some pretty good stuff down there.
I can't get the doggone TV to work right and all the other stuff I wanted to do. So, we'll get it figured out. But let's get a little bit of Sooner talk in before we get to our full tailgate show, because we've got a lot of stuff to cover today. Of course, we got Adrienne and Adriennes Brew. We're going to talk about some beer. And then Tim's going to talk about cooking. And then Dan's going to, the Tailgate Ninja is going to talk about making your tailgate stand out, different games and everything. And then we got PJ Mills coming on with us, which is a huge deal.
You better believe it.
Another Sooner coming on with us. So, right now we're 3 for 3 and asking Sooners to come on. So, hoping that'll be an every Wednesday deal.
That'd be cool.
But let's touch on Sooner stuff that's happened since our last podcast. Addison Gums is transferring, apparently for personal reasons.
Did he pick a college, or did he just leave?
All I saw, I looked on Sooner 24/7. They're ones I think that kind of broke it. Our old buddy Brandon.
Yeah.
And then I looked on TFB. Everybody just says he just transferred for personal reasons.
Yeah. So he's from California, right?
Correct.
I'm sure he probably is going to choose a school out there. But
I mean, I want to say it hurts our defense, but it already hurt our defense because he was out for the season as of last Friday. So it definitely hurts our depth out there at that outside linebacker defensive end position. But looks like, maybe Caleb Kelly might be getting a little more playing time, this time around. Or
you mean next year or?
No, this year.
Well,
Addison wasn't going to play, so it was a dumb statement. Nix that, guys. But, I mean, whatever reasons, it's just kind of odd, and nobody's going to make assumptions that he, gets hurt and 4 days later transfers. He just may have, maybe that he's hurt. I don't know. I'm not going to presume, but it's definitely.
Well, whatever his reasons are, we wish him well.
Yeah, his injury, hurt the team. Not his fault, but
well, it just opens up a spot for us to get another 5-star guy in there, and keep our eye on plugging away.
Yeah. So, went to the coach's show last night. Other than the fact that I got another question asked, and you didn't, I'm 6-0 against you.
I think Terry's slipping him a 20 or something with his little sheet of paper. I don't know what's going on there.
What did we take? What were your takes out of what Coach said last night?
The word that I think you and I have both used is confidence.
Yeah.
I think from just what I can get from him, and this is just my personal read on the man, he seems like he's pretty confident.
Yeah.
I mean, not to the point of arrogance, but I think he realizes he's probably got a lot of talent up there, and if he puts them in the right spot and puts the right play in, I think we're in for a pretty good season.
Right. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's kind of a quiet confidence. He's got a little bit. He's starting to get a little bit of the Bob swagger to him. He's getting a little bit of swag to him.
Yeah.
And I think what's really not interesting really, but it's kind of cool that he does have a sense of humor at the coaches show.
Yeah, he does.
Him and he ribs Toby and.
Well, your question was proof of that. Yeah, good grief.
And I was watching him with my question. And he kind of winced when it said, you've shown your weakness yesterday. And he kind of was like, what the heck are they talking about? And then when the cat sound, he started laughing.
So this is what I'm going to do. I've already got it figured out. For next week, I'm going to fill out 10 different questions. And I'm going to put 10 different names on there, and one of them is going to get selected.
But, we'll never know if it's you because you can just claim everybody's, oh, that one's mine. Oh, that one's mine.
I'm going to put like Hercules. Hercules in the audience wants to know.
So, but, guys, honestly, that's out at Rudy's, that's a really cool deal. Some nights it gets pretty crowded in there.
You got to get there early.
You got to get there early. But it's a really neat thing he does. Interact with the audience and stuff. So it's really a neat thing. But it's also, I know you can watch it on TV, but it's pretty cool to be there in person and listen to it. And
well, you and I are pretty good fans of barbecue, so
yeah,
and we don't live too far, so
yeah. He brought out that Austin Kendall is going to be okay. It looked a lot worse than what it was. I'm thinking it's probably a really bad bruise.
And it looked kind of bad.
Yeah. So, other than that, I mean, he was pretty confident in the deep. I liked what he said was that they found, they went back. They were real happy after the game. Still are real happy, but now there's really a lot of stuff they got to correct. Watching the films, they're back on it, trying to get it corrected. So.
Well, and every coach is going to say that, right. But I'm sure, there were situations where the wrong read was made or whatever,
right?
And you're going to have that first game for sure,
right?
I mean, hopefully, you don't run them too bad or whatever,
right?
But
so, what do you think about? We've done the 2 podcasts with What's Brewing. They did ours, we did theirs. Mike Regalado, sorry, Mike Regalado. Ugh. Regalado, there we go. If I just say it fast, not think about it. Really nice guy. Had a good time doing their podcast and ours. Anything now that you've had a couple of days, think about anything he say kind of stand out to you, worry you?
Not really. When Chip Kelly came in, he dismissed a lot of kids off that team. So, and I know he's probably trying to reload, but. For whatever reason, when you start, releasing kids, I don't know, morale, confidence, those kind of things probably, dip to some degree. And, I looked at their last year's schedule. They beat some good teams last year. Of course, they also lost to some mediocre teams too. So, in fact, Kansas State put a whooping on them in the Cactus El Paso Bowl or something. I don't know. But so Kansas State last year was a pretty decent little team. They gave us a little run for our money, but they put it on them pretty good. Yeah. So I don't think Kansas State should be in the same game with us.
Right.
And so UCLA, it really could be as bad as last week was.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to our picks at the end of the podcast, but that Kool-Aid glass got a little foggier for me the more I thought about it. Their quarterback that they're going to be playing, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, dual threat. He's someone that Chip recruited.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to start him. It was obvious it wasn't planned. He was going to be the backup.
Oh, Spade's the better quarterback.
And now it's very good possibility that more of Chip's RPO is going to come into play.
Yeah, I just don't know if that backup's ready. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's ready to take that spot. Would you rather see the dual threat backup, or would you rather see a fully healthy pocket passer like Spade?
Fully healthy pocket passer. I think we haven't handled a dual threat quarterback for a while. Haven't handled a pocket passer either, but if I had my ruthers, I would rather, the guy stand back there. I just think with Chip Kelly's, offensive mind, he's going to utilize that a lot. You're going to see a lot. That kid's not going to stand back in the pocket. Mm-hmm. He's going to be rolling him out. So that makes my, now that I've thought about it, I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win handily, but it's going to be, it bothers me when that, and hopefully that the defense can stay sound like they were last week, because really there wasn't a threat for that quarterback to run. We stayed in our lanes. The defense stayed in their lanes, did exactly what they hadn't done the last several years. Even against their worst opponents, they didn't do that the last couple of years.
Right.
I still don't think FAU was that bad.
I don't either, but we didn't give them an opportunity to show anything. I mean, we just, the first drive they came out, they moved the ball pretty well. Once we got that shut down, and they were like, okay, let's just run the ball because we got, this running back here, and Oklahoma took that away. Yeah. So they could just never get anything going. Right. They never built any momentum offensively or defensively for that matter. We opened up big holes, and when they, tried to force those holes shut, then we, but we did all that, and I'm pretty sure they know this. Yeah. In a vanilla right. In a vanilla manner. So that tends to,
offense I'm not worried about. I mean, Lincoln came out and, said in his press conference, Monday, there's a lot of our running game we didn't even touch, this weekend, which I'm sure was frustrating to him. I know they didn't want to go completely vanilla. I'm sure he'd have much rather have played Kyler 3 quarters.
Yeah, probably.
And most of them, at least that. But there was just no reason for it. So,
well, think about this. You remember last year when we were watching games, and even if it was just to say it was a good defensive play, there were still receivers running back there wide open. I mean, we're just like, oh, no, throw it to him. I didn't see that a whole lot this game. I didn't see just a bunch of guys.
Right. I mean, it happens. It happens on almost every play. You're going to have a guy break loose, or the defensive back come up maybe a little bit too soon and the guy break open because the guy's moving and stuff. There was a few times, but not like what we saw last year. You're right. There was times where we're like, good God, we're glad he didn't look down the field because he had 2 guys going down the sideline, either side. Right. So
which is something that you and I think are looking for. Are there going to be guys just wide open and nobody around them? Right. Because I don't know that the FAU quarterback was good enough to hit those, wide open. I mean, he's a college quarterback, so he probably was. But and Spate would have been, but I don't know about the backup for UCLA now. I don't know if he could or not.
Right. So we'll see. But, that's the first part of our podcast, guys. We're going to get to our tailgate section now and, talk to the folks about, what to do at your tailgate for this week. And then we're going to get with PJ Mills on some Sooner memories and some Sooner games. And, first up, we have Adriennes Brew. And I woke up in the morning, I got myself a beer. And I woke up in the morning and I got myself a All right, Sooner fans, it's time on Tailgate Like a Champion and Beat the Bruins for Adriennes Brew with the Forest Witch from Twitter, Adrienne. Boomer, Adrienne.
Boomer, how are you guys tonight?
Fantastic. How are you?
Oh, doing great.
So before we get into the beer talk, let's get your take on the Florida Atlantic game.
I was really impressed with a lot of things on the offense because we didn't even have to play our starters the whole time, and that was just super amazing. Right. And we scored way more points than I said we were going to, which was also good.
That's always a good thing.
Always good.
Yes, and they scored less points than I thought they were going to, which was even better because it made me so excited about the defense. Now, I'm still not going to get too excited.
Now, don't drink that Kool-Aid yet.
No,
just sit there and stare at the glass.
I'm just going to leave that glass sitting there because that's what needs to happen until we win the national championship.
There you go.
I might be like, the defense is good.
I think you and about 99% of other Sooner fans are the same way. So
yes.
All right. So what beer do you have for us this week?
Well, we this week are playing the UCLA Bruins. And if you're familiar with what a Bruin is, it's a Dutch for brown bear.
Okay.
It's a brown beer. And, of course, they're in California. And so I picked a California brewery that's in Northern California, not in LA. It's called Anderson Valley Brewery. The brewery's in a beautiful location. And then they have this great beer with a pink can that has a bear on it that has elk horns. And I thought, that list looks really LA to me.
Yeah.
And, so then when the name of the beer was Framba Rosa Goza, I was like, oh, yeah, that definitely sounds LA.
It's not carbonated.
And then I saw that it was brewed with rose hips and raspberries, and it was sour and dry. I was like, yeah.
Okay, what are rose hips?
Rose hips are like a flower from it's not a rose bush, but rose hips are a little herb. And you can grow them if you want to.
And I guess eat them or boil them up and drink them?
You can boil them into tea. You can eat them. You can make you can condense them down into other oils and use the oil for like an essential oil.
Oh, okay.
So it's an aromatic herb. And the beer actually has an aromatic smell. And what they were trying to go for with the rose hips was to make this beer seem more like a rose wine.
Oh, okay.
I'm out.
But it doesn't have a wine taste at all. Oh. It just has that rose taste and that raspberry fruit taste. It is sour, it's dry, it's not hoppy, and it has like a salt finish, like a salty finish. Yeah. So you kind of feel like at the end with that little bit of salt, because that's what a Goza beer is. It's got a salt brew to it. You kind of feel like maybe you had a tequila shot and you have residual salt left on your lips, is kind of how I felt.
Oh, okay.
And so anyway, but the beer drinks really smooth. It's also not a super high alcohol volume, but I felt that the whole scheme of it, and I will tweet out a picture of it, of a can. Yeah. It just felt like UCLA to me.
Yeah.
All pink and fruity and
Framba Rosa Goza.
Framba Rosa Goza, and the weird bear with the elk horns just looked like,
pink and fruity.
One of the things that drives me crazy about UCLA's logo is they have a capital U and all lowercase letters after that, like it's some kind of word.
Yeah, like UCLA.
Yeah, so at UCLA they're going to drink the Framba Rosa Goza.
But what shocked me about UCLA is I've been to California twice in my life, and it's all in the last 8 months. Okay. Because our oldest son lives out there, and so we went out and stayed with him. Went to the Rose Bowl, and we made our summer vacation out there to see him and his family, our grandbaby. And really, we went out there to see the grandbaby. The other two we could care less about, but. UCLA is right smack dab in the middle of Beverly Hills. I did not know that.
Yes.
I was like, we were driving down, I don't remember what street it was, but we were, it was, Sunset Strip. And we got into Beverly Hills part, and we come around the corner, and there's UCLA, University of California. I was like, I did not know they were in Beverly Hills. This is a nice campus. But
yeah, I mean, it really, when you read about it too, they've done major breakthroughs in their research department, so it's really good. And they've had good football teams in the past, and I don't really necessarily think that Chip has the right caliber of people right now for that.
Well, the last time they came here, their coach didn't have any sense but to kick it to
Antonio Perkins.
Three straight times.
What was he thinking?
That was fun.
He should have been left on the tarmac. Yeah. You're not getting on this plane.
So, that's what happened the last time they came. So, we're hoping that something like that will happen. So, what would you suggest if you had Framba Rosa Goza at your tailgate? What would you suggest to eat with it?
Oh, well, I ate mine with some pork loin tacos. And I put, with those pork loin tacos, because this beer was fruity and dry, I used some nice juicy pork loin, a little bit of avocado, which is very California style taco.
Yeah.
A little bit of salsa verde, some cilantro, some onion, and that is how I paired mine last night.
Oh, got to see. Now, you saw, we got into a little bit of beer talk today on Twitter, And you saw how I like my beer. I like my.
Yeah, I don't want my beer all champagned up, and I don't want nobody to order me a frozen margarita and stick a Corona in it either. I was so offended.
Yeah, I like my beer to taste like beer.
Yes.
Now
this beer does taste like beer. It's not super fruity.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything that like I'm probably ever going to be like, oh, I got to have some more of that.
Yeah.
It wasn't super my style, but it's light and refreshing, so it'll still go with the heat or the rain, whatever the weather's going to do
whatever's
Saturday.
Gonna happen. And pork loin tacos.
And it will go with pork loin tacos, which were very good. And if anybody needs to know that the recipe I use for the pork loin, please let me know.
So, okay, we got your beer choice. I want to be saying that all night. Framba Rosa Goza. Should have named one of my kids.
I told you it was super funny.
So we've got Framba Rosa Goza. Now let's talk about the Bruins coming in. What are your thoughts about UCLA? And did you get to watch them last week? Did you watch them at all?
I did watch some highlights. I didn't watch the whole game. I did read some stuff, and then I asked for a little bit of input on Twitter, what other people were kind of thinking, to see if it kind of matched up with what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I felt like maybe their defense isn't going to be good enough to hold our offense. I feel their defense is on about the same caliber as what we saw last week from FAU. And I feel like maybe their offense is probably that same caliber too, really. I feel like in the future that won't probably be the case because it's Chip Kelly and
he'll figure it out.
He'll have that figured out. But for right now, he's working with what he has, and I don't see it being a game that we should struggle with. However, I can see it being like the sophomore slump because we had such a phenomenal game last week.
Right.
I always get this feeling that there's going to be that game that we should do really well in where we're in a slump. I don't think we lose, but it might not go just exactly like last week did.
Yeah.
Some people were saying we're going to steamroll them, and I really feel like there will be some opportunity for adjustment periods and to play some players that maybe we didn't play last week to see where we're at, and it'll kind of put us into a slump.
Yeah. You might be right. I mean, because like I said, really, the starters played, a quarter and a half.
Most. If the starters stay in longer this time, it really could be really close to the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really surprised because that's really not something we're super used to seeing. So I was actually really, that was refreshing.
Yeah. Well, I think I think that Lincoln saw if he left those guys out there,
that it would have been like 105.
Yeah, I'm sure his plan was if it went well, like that, third quarter, halfway through the third, or at the end of the third, pull the starters, get the other guys in. If he'd have left, Anderson and Murray and Sermon and all those guys out there through the third quarter, it would have been 75-0 at the end of the third quarter.
It still could have been at the
back.
Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah, we were definitely rocking and rolling with those guys.
Okay. So the beer of the week is, I'm going to say it again because I love saying it. Say it, Rob. You say it this time.
I'm not saying it.
You have to say it. It's so fun.
Framba Rosa Goza. I'm gonna get you some Framba Rosa Goza. I bet you they sell it down here at.
Do you want me to bring you some to the Army tailgate so you can try it?
This is how it goes, Adrian. I bought him a OU Roughneck hat. He's gonna buy me some something pink can with a rainbow or something on it. I
don't know. Hey, he's got a good point there. So, but so what's we didn't get your score prediction last week. It was the first time we did one of these, so we all kind of dropped the ball. What is your score for the game?
I have got OU. Let's see. I didn't write it down this time, so I'm going to guess. I'm just going to go with 63-24.
63-24.
That's a good score.
Yeah, that's my. I wish we're going to get this score, but I think our score might be lower than that. But we're going to roll with it anyway.
Okay.
If we held him
it's
under
Lincoln's
24,
birthday
I'd be
week.
happy.
He should score at least double his age.
That'd be 70.
Yeah, so that's it's a good goal. So
it is a good goal.
But now, do you watch the coaches show at Rudy's on Tuesday night?
I do. Yes.
Yeah. Did you hear him ask my question last night, and not Rob's?
No, I didn't because I haven't watched it yet. I watch everything like way behind everybody else because it's just how I do it.
You'll see us in the back giving the horns down.
Yeah, but
all right.
He says they go. It's Terry in the audience, and they read. 2 weeks in a row they've read my question. They've read my question every time, 6 times. I don't always have one, but when I do.
So is this because your question is much better in content, or is it more? Is it written better?
Oh, come on.
It means I'm just better than
Mike
Rob.
Gundy's mullet.
Oh, okay.
Somebody's mustache, and Mike Ditka, who wins
the
in a fight.
The first,
I'm like, what?
The first question I ever asked was at the was it the OSU game? I can't remember what it was, but it was Mike Gundy's mullet, Lincoln Riley's visor, and Mike Ditka's mustache get into a fight. Who wins?
Oh my!
Right. And I had like a really intelligent, thought out question, and he doesn't ask mine.
But Lincoln liked mine, and he kind of laughed. He goes, "Well, Ditka, of course, So, and I'm trying to think what was mine last week. Mine was the bucket hat. I'm willing to ask him if he would trade in his visor for a bucket hat, and I'm pretty sure he called me old because he kind of laughed. He goes, maybe when I'm older. I was like, damn it, that's what you get. But Rob, what question do you ask of yours? None.
Right. And all of my questions are good questions. But you know
maybe
what?
Next time you should ask if he would drink Frambo Rosa Goza.
Yeah, he won't drink that. He's too much of a man. Which is why I won't. He's all this testosterone covering around me. By the way, Blinken said he would answer my questions.
Yeah.
Thank you, Blinken Riley. I mean, it's close.
So, anyway, but yeah, watch it, and you'll hear my question, and you'll probably hear one from me next week, and you won't hear one from Rob.
So if you don't, I'm just going to stand up in the middle of the crowd, and I'm just going to yell mine out.
That should be great. I'm looking forward to that.
There's no security. They won't. Yeah, they can't get me out of there.
But anyway, you got the Sooners pick 63-24, so we wrote it down, so we'll know how close you were. And
last week I actually had 55-27, so I was way off.
Yeah.
That's not way off.
We're not way off. They scored a few more points, but
yeah.
Yeah. But everybody go out and pick you up from some Frambo Rosa Goza. It's in case you don't know how to spell it, just look for the beer that's in a pink can
with a rainbow.
With a bear with elk horns on the front.
I mean a bear.
And a bear with elk horns on it. Go pick it out. Yeah. Try it out with whatever you're having with your tailgate this week, and enjoy it. And when you do like it, you can remember that you heard about it from Adrienne on Adriennes Brew. So thank you very much, Adrienne.
Thank you, guys. And here we go. Good game week. Boomer Sooner.
Boomer.
I burn charcoal or I'll grill with gas. I got me a Weber that's built to last. The grill is on. I'm grilling strong. And let me tell you, pretty mama, I'll grill all night long.
All right, everybody, now on Tailgate Like a Champion and Beat the Bruins, it's Cooking the Competition with Tim Harless. Boomer, Tim.
Hey, Boomer Center, guys.
How's it going this evening?
Hey, man, it's wet, but it's good.
Yeah. Hoping this weather clears off before Saturday, because rain doesn't make for good tailgates, and I don't like sitting in the rain watching anything. So
no, I'm with you. It may be the only thing that can slow down our offense.
Yeah.
I actually heard that the rain was not going to be a factor during the game.
they're saying now it's that tropical storm or hurricane, now it's already starting to turn north, so we're gonna it's gonna miss us. So before we get into cooking the competition, give us your take on the beatdown of the Owls last week. What'd you think about that game?
If you remember, I said the optimist in me thought the line may be a little low. But I'll be honest with you, I was pleasantly surprised by everything I saw. Offense honestly looked more balanced than it did last year. It just looked better than it did last year. Defense was the one that I think we all were looking forward to figure out what are they going to do.
Right.
I think I've come to the conclusion, and Mike Stoops deserves a lot of the heat or a little bit of the heat, depending on how you look at it, for the last couple of years. But I'm to the point now, I don't know if it was the scheme issue as so much as it was the lack of the right players. Because they ran the same scheme on Saturday that they have, but now they've got some dogs in there, and it sure did look like it worked. At least for the first
it was working to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's a great observation, because I rewatched it, because watching it live, you don't really get to watch it. You know what I mean? You're experiencing the game, and so I came. Well, actually, it was Monday. I sat down in here in the podcast palace and turned the TV on, and I was going to watch the whole game. And because I left, I went back out to the tailgate with 7 minutes left, or right after halftime, and watched the rest of it on TV with a group of folks down there, because it was just too dang hot in that stadium.
Right.
But I was like, I'm going to watch the full thing, get a whole take of it, and I actually fell asleep about the same place I left the stadium at. So,
did FAU, so you're fine.
Yeah, but one of the things that I did notice in watching it is that, just like you said, I mean, they ran the same schemes. There was a little more 4-2, the 4-2-5, and just staying, because I think that's going to end up being our base defense. It looks like that's what we're best at.
And they seemed comfortable in it as well.
And they just flat out dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, and if you look at, I don't know if you'd go on the Football Brainiacs, Jason's Trench Wars. He had some good stuff on there this week. A lot of drawing this week, because especially when he gets into the offense, showing the offensive line. But it was some really, but I'm like you, though. I mean, I was surprised. Rob, you were surprised, right?
A little bit. A little bit.
Yeah. So, but we'll see what happens. This week, though. But let's get into what you got, for the grill this week for us.
Absolutely. It's still, for me, I know they kick off a little bit later than they did last week. Not much to be considered a whole lot, but I'm going with another breakfast item this week just because it's going to be early. And I guess I'll call this one the Kyler Murray Scramble.
Ooh, good name.
Mainly because he obviously is going to do that, and good luck on even trying to touch him if you're on the defensive side. So for this, it's still, grill top. The only cooking utensil and grill that you'll need is a cast iron skillet. And so I always start with bacon and sausage, and you want to get thick bacon because you cut it up first into small pieces, and then you cook it. Cook that bacon, that sausage down, take the meat out and leave the grease in the skillet, and then add onions, jalapenos, peppers, whatever type of vegetable you want to put in it, and start to cook that up, saute it up in that grease, in that bacon grease. Once those peppers have gotten to the way that you like them, add in eggs, you add in the bacon or the sausage or both back in. You add in just a little bit of milk, and for me, it seems to make the eggs kind of fluffier. And
right.
I don't like just nasty, greasy eggs, and so this will help. And then you throw in some just pre-cut, kind of frozen hash brown mix. Throw all that in there. Add as much cheese, whatever type of cheese that you'd like, and throw that in there. And then you just cover it with some aluminum foil. And the trick in this is it needs to be hot, but it doesn't need to be direct heat. So I always turn just one side of the grill off, leave the pan on that side, and then leave the other side going, because it needs to be about 300. And you just let it cook until it's done. And then once it's done, you take the foil off, add more cheese, salsa, sour cream, whatever you want to do. on that. So it's super simple, and again, you've got one pan that you got to worry about as opposed to making just a giant mess of stuff to clean up so you can get into the stadium.
Right. And, that's a key because I kind of listen, I've gone to tailgates. This is the first time we've ever hosted, what I guess host is what you call, or set up our own tailgate. But simplicity and ease of cleaning up is is vital because there's nothing around you. If you got to wipe stuff down, you're in trouble.
Absolutely. Honestly, it makes the food taste better if you don't have to worry about the rest of it, too.
and this was actually a first. I put it on Twitter because earlier today a bunch of us on Twitter got to talking about tailgates and stuff. But I actually had French toast and beer this weekend. So
okay. Hey,
and
don't knock it till you try.
Yeah, it wasn't half bad. Normally with my French toast and link sausage is what we had.
Right.
Normally with that I have a big old glass of milk because that's always what's best to me with syrup. But
right.
My wife had a half gallon of milk there and stuff, and I was like, I'd already cracked open a beer and I was hungry, and I was like, I'm gonna get me some French toast. And she looked at me like I was crazy when I was standing there and I was taking a bite of it and drinking it with the beer. She's like, it has to be disgusting. She doesn't like beer. And I'm like, man, actually, it's pretty good. So,
or at least you weren't going to tell her anything.
Yeah, I wasn't going to tell her any different. So, but yeah, that's definitely the oddest combination of food and beverage that I've had, I think, so far. So,
yeah, I think I'm going to take your word for it.
Hey, you never know if somebody hands you if you're drinking a beer and somebody hands you French toast, are you going to put the beer down? No, nobody is. You're going to still drink your beer and you're going to get your French toast. So,
unless you're at IHOP, then you might want to put the beer down.
Yeah. So, okay, we got your recommendation for the tailgate. What's your views on this week's game against the Bruins?
Yeah, I'm in the mode of trying not to overreact to what we saw last week, as well as just some of the news coming out of UCLA that it's going to be a true freshman quarterback, and he's got half a game under his belt,
right?
So, and then the points seem to be climbing every day. I think it started at like 23, and now it's at like 31 or something.
Right.
So. You hate to. It's not a trap game by definition, but as far as the points go, you just don't want to be too overconfident. But I just don't see how they can hang, mainly because you look at the amount of rushing yards that Cincinnati was able to get on them,
right?
Without their starting tailback, I just don't see how they can stop a 3-4 headed monster that we've got at running back, and then you factor in that. With our passing game, we really didn't even see a bunch last week. CeeDee Lamb didn't have a catch. And so there's element to even OU's offense that UCLA can't prepare for because they haven't seen it yet.
Right.
So, man, I would almost take the points. I would say OU probably can name the score that they want. And so, honestly, it kind of depends on how long Kyler's in, how long the ones are in. And then on defense, I think they end up just being one-dimensional, which always fits into Mike Stoops' scheme. If he can make you one-dimensional, you're dead. So,
right.
Man, I'm going to go 62-17.
I like his better than Adriennes.
So, now playing, here's my thoughts on it. Is Chip Kelly has now got a week to prepare, and the quarterback that he had, that Spaeth, that got hurt, or Spaeth, I don't know it's Spaeth, I think, how you pronounce his name, Wilton
right.
Spaeth. They now have Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who is a dual-threat quarterback and is a quarterback that Chip Kelly recruited.
Right.
And he's a freshman. You're not going to, in my opinion, you're not going to tell me that Chip Kelly was going, he was the backup, and Spaeth wasn't going to be running the Chip Kelly offense that we all know Chip Kelly runs. You don't think he's going to, he's got a week now to prepare to put a completely different offense than what he put out on the field on last Saturday. That's my concern. And that we're basically, and I think Mike and our defense handled it well. They had no idea what FAU was throwing out there on the field. They didn't know who the quarterback was. They didn't know what they were going to run. They just knew about the running back and the rest of the players. I think they're sitting in the same boat this week. They have no idea what Chip Kelly's going to do because he's got a completely different quarterback. He stuck to his game plan with him that whole the first game against Cincinnati with the backup in it. Now I think he's going to write a completely different game plan and put more run pass option in. Which scares,
I can definitely see that. It's a great point.
Which scares the crap out of me.
It does. And the only thing that I think that goes against him trying to do that is the quarterback probably can handle that, but I don't know if he's got the right guys on the offensive line, the other skill positions that he can
conditioning.
What they've worked on for 4 months.
Right.
Change it in a week's time and it'd be effective at all. I think the quarterback would love it because that's what he was recruited to do, but you know, I don't know about the rest of those guys. So I guess we'll see. And you're right. It's very similar. It's kind of an unknown.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we got you down. We got the Kyler Murray scramble, which sounds, that sounds like a breakfast you could have at a tailgate or tomorrow morning.
Absolutely.
When you get up.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, if you can get up in time.
Yeah, and 62-17 Sooners, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, sounds like a good pick to me, but we appreciate it, and everybody, try that out this weekend or at your next family breakfast, either or. It goes with it, and also try French toast and beer. It's not so bad. But Tim, hey, we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right.
Guys, have a good week.
All right, Boomer Tim.
All right, Boomer Center.
All right, guys, up next on Tailgate Like a Champion and Beat the Bruins. A tailgate is never complete without a game or two or something that makes your tailgate stand out. And so the only person that we could get on for that is the tailgate ninja himself from Tailgate Connect, Dan Donelly. Boomer Dan.
Sooner Terry, Sooner Rob.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's fantastic. Fantastic. I'm actually sitting in my office and I have a replay of the Maryland-Texas game on, so I couldn't get much better than that.
So is that a comedy or a drama? I can't remember.
They call it dramedy.
Yeah.
The comedy was 2 years ago when Kansas beat them.
Yeah. Now, can you believe the crap that came out of Herman's mouth the other day?
What was he thinking?
Did you hear that, Dan?
Yeah, I did, and so I have a good friend of mine who's he's a Texas grad school alum, and then his son is at UT now. And I was just poking him a little bit, and he said, "You can't believe how bad that they're crucifying Herman on social media."
Oh, they should be.
Not only what came out of his mouth, but I can't verify this, but this is what was told to me, and you're a lot closer to it. But he ordered pizzas during the rain delay.
That's the word. They were eating pizzas during the rain delay. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I don't have anybody on the inside, but I have heard that from more than one person.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm not hating on him.
Yeah.
Hey, pizza on a rainy day.
Yeah,
Okay
but here's the thing: is what he referred to. For one, he got it wrong, and I am I tell everybody I can read. I just don't like to read. Okay, Rob's a big reader. Him and my kids and my wife, they all love to read. I don't like to read. It just gives me a headache, makes me sleepy. But the fact that he told it wrong, and then was basically the reason why we didn't win was that we wanted to play together and so strong together. And we just tried too hard and killed ourselves. That's basically what he said. It's like, you're out of your damn mind.
He should have just sat there and said, I got nothing, guys. I got nothing. That's what he should have done.
I think we...
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Don.
I was just going to say, I think the one person in the country that's most happy about Tom Herman is probably Jim Harbaugh. He's taking some of the limelight off of him.
Because I've never heard a coach say that our guys tried too hard to come together and wanted it so bad that we imploded.
Terrible.
Yeah, that we imploded.
No, we tried too hard.
Yeah, we tried too hard. No,
we obviously have a great rivalry with Texas, but I got to say that the Longhorn faithful are going to put him on a short leash unless something changes pretty quick. So,
hey, if they lose
2 years
to
in a
Tulsa,
row, losing to Maryland,
yeah, and go ahead, Rob, with that.
If Tulsa rolls into Austin and they beat them, he might be done.
And which I'm sorry.
Exactly.
I mean, I know that they're way more talented than Tulsa, but they're way more talented than Maryland.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Clearly.
And it would. I'm even on the notion, Rob, if Tulsa keeps that game close, like 35-34, 35-30, he might be on the rails.
He might be.
Because
you're right. You're right.
It's because he's not representing. I don't think, and of course we're soon. But I'm going to look at it from a standpoint. If I was a Texas fan, if that was my coach responding like that, I would be livid.
Oh yeah.
You say
you're not going to be happy with that as a fan.
Yeah, you say it like it is. We lined up. I thought they were prepared. We were prepared, and we got up and got our tails whipped and outcoached. Boom, done. We're working to fix it.
They did.
I'm happy with those answers.
And that falls on him because he knew he was walking into an environment where Maryland was going to be playing on emotions.
Right. Oh,
with, representing their deceased player, the coach being suspended, and having Canada come in as the interim coach. They were hyped up, and as anybody who's ever coached any sport, if you don't match the opponent's energy, no matter how talented you are and how less talented they are, you're not going to win.
Right. Exactly.
And they did, especially after their energy pizzas that they had in the ring.
So let's get your take on the FAU game last week. What are your thoughts? Shocked at all?
Well, do you remember what I told you? I'm an absolutely horrible gambler, so don't take my opinion on last week. I said they've got some talented players. They probably will be able to with us for the first half, and in the second half, our depth and everything wears them down. So, I was blown away at how sharp the Sooners looked in all facets of the game from the get-go. I mean, you saw Lane, on the sideline, just looking, dismayed from the opening series on. It was like there wasn't even any emotion in the guy. It was just like, I'm getting run over by a train, and there's not a whole lot I could do about it.
There wasn't anything.
And the crazy thing is have you seen the video that FAU had of him in the team meeting at the hotel, the coaches meeting? I guess, they were really publicizing and recording it and stuff for their fans. And I believed he was going to come in here and thump Oklahoma. He really did.
And shock the world, right?
Yeah, he was like, I don't know if we have a flag. If we don't, go get one, go make one, because if we win this game, we're
going to
plant it. And I want to be prepared.
Sorry, buddy.
It didn't work out. It didn't happen, Lane. It didn't happen to a nicer guy. So, couple of observations. I mean, first of all, the skill positions were extremely talented, but the line looked great. Offensive line looked fantastic. Then, we had a conversation a couple weeks back. I was really pumped that Bob Diaco is now on the defensive staff.
Right.
Now, I don't know if he had a lot of influence, but even though they're FAU, they are a Lane Kiffin offense, which, I give the guy his due. He does know how to coach offense, allegedly.
Right.
And they were shut down. I mean, that defense 100%. Did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right,
so, we'll see. Yeah, Bob.
What do you got for us for the tailgate this week? What do you...
So as I mentioned, I've got a shed on the side of my house that pretty much has all of my tailgate apparatuses and gears, and usually every Christmas I get some nice toys.
I mean, this may be Dan. This may be I have to ask this question: are you married?
Oh, I am.
You must have
30 years in November.
How many?
30 years in November.
30 years. She must be.
Oklahoma.
She must be like either the most patient woman in the world. Does she go to all this stuff with you, or does she just, when you start doing it, you've got a shed full of tailgate stuff, does she just shake her head and walk away, or what?
Pretty much, and it's she's of the mindset area. It's like if I'm in town more than a week and a half, she's like, "Don't you have a game or some work to go on the road for?"
Wow.
She went to Oklahoma State, so there's probably a reason she wants to get me out of the house a little bit.
Okay, sorry about that. When you said a shed full of stuff, and then you're talking about going to 14 different games this year, I was like, dude, this guy is either a bachelor or has the most understanding wife or she just doesn't like you. One of the two.
Well, it could be a combination of the three, and I do realize at the end of the season, the credit card that I leave with her has a very large balance on it, so there's a little quid pro quo.
Gotcha.
So you go and I shop, I guess is her motto. So,
yeah, there you go. Okay, so what's
right,
the game you have for us?
Yeah, so this game, I first actually saw this at Iowa State. It was up there about 5 years ago for the Iowa State game, which actually is pretty darn fun. It's the big event of the state. But we saw people playing this game, and I'm like, okay, what is it? So let me describe it to you. You've got two people, probably about let's call it 10 yards, maybe 15 yards apart, and there's a tall pole with like a very flat little top on the top of it where you place a bottle. All right. So I have mine on my side. You have yours 10 yards away from me if you and I are playing against each other. I have a Frisbee in my hand. And the objective for me is to take the Frisbee and try to knock that bottle off of your pole and have it hit the ground. Okay. I get points for that. But if the bottle gets knocked off and you catch it before it hits the ground, then you also get points for that. So that's really the two ways to score. So that when I saw it at Iowa State, these college kids were actually playing with glass bottles.
That's
smart, right? And they had a makeshift version of this, and I'm like, all right, that is really a cool game. So they actually let a couple of us old guys jump in and play, and we're like, this is cool. So of course I got back and I looked it up all over on Amazon or wherever the heck it was, and it's called Polish horseshoes, and I know that's not politically correct. And my next door neighbor, whose last name is Lewandowski, tells me to stop calling it that. And I go, look at the package.
Yeah, I'm not calling it's what it's named that. I didn't name it.
Exactly what it's called, Polish horseshoes. But it gets to be a lot of fun. You can play with two people on a team as well, so you can have two people sitting there ready to try to catch the bottle as it falls off. But it's, again, it's another game that's played much more effectively with, 12 ounces of liquid in one hand and the Frisbee in the other.
Yeah, every game's better that way.
But I'll throw that in every time. It seems to really add to it. But it is fun. I mean, it's one of those that you can get, a little bit aggressive, and some of the older guys are like myself may twist an ankle or tear an ACL or something like that, being a little bit too aggressive. So a fun game, and
but the game comes with you said that the Iowa State kids that you saw playing were playing it with glass bottles. I'm assuming when you buy it comes with plastic Coke bottles. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like a Coke bottle, but it's plastic. And there's also the pole goes into these goes into a water-filled disc that keeps it weighted to the ground.
Right.
So you just put water in the base, put the pole in the base, and it has a little flat top. The bottle goes on top, and fire the Frisbee at it, and it's just a ton of fun.
Oh, that's cool. Sounds like it's definitely different. But like I said, that's the first thing I thought was when you said a Coke bottle. I was like, okay, wait a minute. If I'm playing this with beer in my hand and it's a glass bottle, I'm going to get hit in the head with something at some point in time. So,
like I said, the college kids are doing it that way.
Yeah.
I think we're a little wiser at our age now.
Yeah. So everybody needs to go out and check out. I'm sure you could probably see people playing it on YouTube or something. So YouTube it or check it out on Amazon or something. Polish horseshoes. So, Dan, let's talk about UCLA. What are your expectations this week from the Sooners?
So, get a little inside information. I know you spent some time with the UCLA guy yesterday. So, I live out here on the West Coast, and I have a neighbor who's a UCLA alum, and we go back and forth. And he was pretty bold up until last Saturday that they were going to come into Norman and put on a show with Chip. Yeah. So I texted him today and I said, hey, I'm going on the Sooner podcast tonight. I go, what would you say? And he would say, I think his response is wait till next year. So he's not feeling very bullish right now. So I watched part of their game last week. And so going into that game, you're probably well aware they had 6 kids suspended. 2 of them happened to be local kids from my area. They both played at that De La Salle High School, and they're absolute beasts. One of them is Devin Asiasi, who transferred from Michigan, would be a starting tight end, and the other is Boss Tagaloa, who is a defensive tackle. Not sure what those 6 kids did, but they're out for 3 games. They did something that doesn't jive well with Chip.
Right.
State went down, I think, early in the game against Cincinnati, and so now I kind of look at their team. They're young. They don't seem to have a lot of depth, and also is Chip Kelly's his mastery of the offensive system he put in. Is everyone caught up to that defensively? Does everybody know how to basically cover that? Told you I'm not a good gambler, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the OU is going to just smack the living crap out of them this weekend. If they don't, from what I saw last weekend, I watched some of their game, I watched all of OU's game. I can't see how they can compete if OU comes out with 2/3 of the energy that they had last weekend. So
Okay.
I'm predicting a 35-point minimum win.
All right.
Okay, so. I know.
Remember, I'm a really crappy gambler.
Yeah, I know it's not 35-0. So what's your score?
I'm going to go. I can't do math very
Yeah,
well. Let's go 49-14. How's that?
49-14. Okay, because we're writing these down this week so we can keep track of them and put them out on the stuff. But no, I mean you got some interesting points, and like I said, the guys from What's Brewing podcast, I mean he was really cool, and he kind of had the same demeanor as the FAU guys did. I think his was at the beginning, before the Cincinnati game, I thought we were going to be able to come in at Oklahoma and give them a game, probably not win, but a game. He goes, but he's like, right. I don't see a chance. It's not going to happen. No. After watching Oklahoma play. And FAU guys were kind of the same way. Was we're probably going to lose, but I think we're going to give you a really good game. It's going to be closer than everybody thinks, and and we saw how that turned out. So,
Yep.
No, I agree. I think when I first talked to you guys in the preseason, we said, man, that's a pretty interesting non-conference lineup with FAU, UCLA, and Army.
Now it looks like
all three of them fell.
Now
Army fell flat to Duke.
Now it looks like that. Our biggest foe is going to be next week, which is Iowa State, in the first four games.
That's
because
a payback.
Yeah, I thought the first four games, like you, were going to be really interesting, all four of them, and now it looks like, after seeing what UCLA threw out there, I watched part of that game, the fourth quarter of it, and they were just inept. I mean, they just couldn't do anything. Yeah. So against Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati has gotten better. I mean, I'll give them some credit. I think what's Luke Fickell is their coach now. He used to be an assistant at Ohio State, I believe. So they've gotten better, but still, just looking at the young quarterback for UCLA, I believe he's a true freshman, if I'm not mistaken. But the stage was too big for him, clearly. And I can't imagine, and that was only in front of 30,000 people. Yeah, the Rose Bowl looked pretty sparse. Yeah, but and that's something. That's something I was going to talk to you about, and that's one of the things that the guy from the Bruins podcast said was they don't usually show up until about the third or fourth game. UCLA fans don't. He goes until it's kind of like they kind of wait and see, and then they'll start showing up. He goes, but that wasn't anything surprising that the crowd was like that. So, but it's kind of different.
Unless they had really big time school coming in as a non-conference opponent. You're right. I was even there. Gosh, it was about 13 years ago when Oklahoma State went out, and I'd say about half of the crowd was there for Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I bet it's that way. I bet it's that way next year with Oklahoma. So.
We'll change that. We'll make it 90% Oklahoma.
Yeah. So
I told you I'm throwing a tailgate for you guys.
Oh yeah, we're already been planning. We've been figuring it out. Flights and everything, and awesome. Scotty's. We are still saying it's Scotty's, right, Rob?
Yeah. Okay. He's good with that.
Either that or we're sleeping on the beach. So one of the two. I mean, which I don't have a problem.
Bad option.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with either one. So, all right. Well, Dan, hey, we appreciate it again. Where are you going this week for your tailgate?
I hate to admit it, but I'm going to be grounded this week. I'm trying to pace myself into a more kind of grown-up, responsible way of just going away every other week.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll see if she kicks me out by Friday night, though.
Well, I'm sure you'll have something going on there at the house before the So what, it'd be a 10 o'clock kickoff your time, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
10 o'clock. That's right. Yep.
But, well, enjoy the game, and, we'll talk to you next week, okay?
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Really
Thanks,
appreciate
Dan.
it.
All right, Boomer, Dan.
Boomer.
Sooner, guys.
All right, Sooner fans. It's time on Tailgate Like a Champion and beat the Bruins. It's our favorite part. Well, Rob, besides the beer drinking and food eating,
Right.
it's it's still our favorite part, but those two are pretty close, second and third. It's talking with champions. This week we have a wide receiver for the Sooners from 1992 to 95, so he played for Gary Gibbs and Howard Schnellenberger. He racked up some pretty respectable receiving yards, and one thing, and we're going to talk about this, he was part of that wild Syracuse game way back in 1994 in the Carrier Dome. We've got Sooner P.J. Mills. Boomer, P.J.
Boomer Sooner, what's going on, fellas? How you doing? I appreciate your time.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on. This is for two, old fans who started a podcast, and we're getting to talk to Sooners like yourself. It's kind of the highlight of our week. So, it's been
that's cool, man. But I have to say, as a former player, we appreciate the fans. The way they support Sooner teams in good and bad times. The respect they show you if they meet you in certain away from the limelight of football and how they treat you, even when you can't win for the school anymore. I just love our fans. Obviously, I'm biased, but I think we got the best fans in the world. What they do.
Oh yeah, we appreciate that, and we agree.
We're fans, so yeah.
It's
thank you very much.
This past weekend, we hosted a tailgate, and it's the first time I've been to tailgates, but it's the first time I ever put one together. So I had to get out there early and get it set up, and all the fans that were around, these people have been tailgating in this same area for 10 and 15 years. And
okay, so I got to ask you, who did you pattern your tailgate after? Is it something you saw at the OU game before, or was it something you saw somewhere else? A tailgate, that's pretty personal. So
right.
Who did you emulate in what you were going to do with your tailgate?
I just, I knew for one I was going to have beer. So that was that's a given.
I get it. That's a good place to start for you.
And I knew it was going to be hot, so I had water. But I was trying to kind of do my own thing, and we were going to try to highlight some of the podcast stuff with it, and we had a TV. Our electronic stuff didn't work out for us, so we're going to have to make a different plan for that. I thought I was going to be able to do what I wanted to, but and the cool thing, we wanted the people that listen to it, because our podcast, we just have fans generally come on and talk about their Sooner memories and give their thoughts on the games and everything. And we just invited fans, and we had, people that we've had on our podcast just come up and, have a water with us. Some of them had a beer. Some of them sat there a while. Some of them just came up and said hi. We had people come up to the tailgate, because we had a big banner there. What's this podcast? So we handing out flyers. Sorry, University of Oklahoma. I know we're not supposed to do that, but we don't make any money doing this, so it's not like we're getting rich off of it. But it's just kind of the different things that I've seen, tried to have a TV there. But the fans around us, there was two groups beside us, one of them came over and was talking, and he was like, what are y'all going to be watching? I said, well, I can't get it to work because of X, Y, Z. And he goes, well, man, here you go. Just come over here. And he goes, if you got anybody here that doesn't have tickets, have them come in here and sit down and watch it with our folks that don't have tickets. And me and my wife, when we got done breaking down, we just thought that was one of the coolest days I've had, just sitting out there with all the fans, because everybody was cordial.
But that's a classic example of what I was talking about, how great the fan.
Right.
That's a classic example.
Right. So now you're originally from Enid, right?
No, I'm originally from Virginia.
Virginia. I thought.
Yeah, my dad was in the Air Force.
Ah, okay.
And we moved to Enid.
Gotcha.
My junior in high school.
Oh, betcha that sucked, didn't it? Did you happen to move your junior year?
Well, yeah, nothing wrong with Enid. A lot of great people there, but when you grew up somewhere for the majority of your life and you're in the middle of high school, to leave your high school and go to a state that you don't know anything about other than OU football.
Right.
Obviously, I knew about OU football. I wore number 4 because of Jamel Holloway. So, So I knew about all of that and winning and those type of things. But yeah, it was extremely hard.
Yeah.
The funny thing though was when I got here my junior year, after the season was over, I had a good season. After the season was over, my head coach in high school called me in either high school when I moved here, called me into the office. So, I'm what am I, 17 at that point? 16, whatever at that point. And I'm thinking, okay, what'd you do? Anytime your coach or authority, okay, what'd you do? And not that I really did anything, but it's like, okay, what are you calling me in here for? Okay, what'd you do? Well, when I walk into the coach's office, there's two gentlemen standing. It is Bobby Proctor and Lucius Stillman.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
so I mean, they're legends.
Right.
They're legends. And so, the coach asked if I mind talking to them. I said no. So, but the thing was, I knew their names, but I didn't necessarily have the faces. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really put the faces with who they were. So, they start talking, and the interesting thing is, they said, I don't want to say the player's name, but they said, we got a guy last year. If you were up, we would have picked you. I said, okay, thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot. And they said, no, we're serious. Well, you got to understand, I'm from Virginia. Right. I played against Allen Iverson in high school. I'm from the area. I played against Joe Smith in high school in basketball, because basketball was my favorite sport growing up, actually. I was better at football. So I'm from an area where everybody's good. So I had a healthy confidence in what I could do, but I never really, I was like, everybody's good around here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew I could hold my own, and I knew I could go get it, but I didn't think it was, sometimes when you're younger, you don't allow yourself to dream.
Right.
But for so far and so high. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So whenever I come across kids, I always tell them, go for it. You know what I'm saying? If you don't reach your ultimate goal, you'll be higher than what you thought you was going to be at least.
Right.
Well, back to the story. So we're talking, and I said, well, listen, we know that your father, because he was in the Air Force, God rest his soul, we know that your father has an option to move you guys back to Virginia. And I'm thinking to myself, how does he know this? We only had this conversation We only had this conversation 2 weeks prior to this meeting in the coach's office.
Right. All
true stories. And I just looked at him like, how do you know that? And they didn't say it in any kind of menacing way, but he had a smile on his face, and he winked at me. He said, we're the University of Oklahoma.
Nice.
No lie.
Yeah.
And I saw it, but it was never intimidating. It was funny. Never intimidating, but they were great. So they said, if you stay, we'll give you a scholarship. This is my junior year.
Wow.
So I'm like, I said, well, can I ask my parents? They said, we don't want you to make any decision before talking to your parents.
Right.
We just want to make you aware so that you can make them aware of what we're proposing. So it was no pressure, none of that stuff. They were like, no, we don't even want you to make a decision until you talk to parents.
Right.
So I'll go back home, and I see my dad first. My mom was at the store, so I see my dad first. I told him what happened. He said, okay, well, when your mom gets back, we'll talk about it as a family, me, my brother, my mom, and my dad. So when she got back, he called over, and we went in the living room, and he said, tell your mother what happened. So I told her. So she smiled, and my father looked at me and said, so what do you think you should do? I said, Dad, I want to go home. Because I'm still in high school mode. Right. I want to go where I'm from, where my friends are. Again, none of this is negative to Enid. Enid has been great to me. I love the people there. But I'm from, I've been in Enid for like 6 months. I'm a Virginia kid.
Right.
So, we talked, and he said, what do you think you should do? I said, I want to go home. He said, is that what you think you should do? I said, well, Virginia Tech was, Virginia Tech, Syracuse, had a couple of schools talking, but nobody was offering like that. But obviously I was a sophomore when that happened. So I said, well, if I go home, I'm going to have fun, but he said, so what about after you graduate? I said, well, I think I'll have some options. He says, I'm asking you one more time, Jay, what do you think you should do? I said, probably stay. He said, are you sure? I said, yes. He said, good, that's what you're going to do. I just want to see what you thought. True story.
So he made you think it was your choice at the beginning and then let you know.
I thought it was my choice. So, well, the story goes along. It gets sad, and then it gets, a little lighter. My father, unfortunately, died 3 weeks before I graduated from high school.
Oh, man.
He was my hero. He's just the best man I've ever physically known. So when I get to OU my freshman year, we get there before school starts, and working out, getting to know guys, and training and those type of things. So well, let me back up for a second. Coach Proctor got fired like 2 or 3 days after I signed. I don't know how far back you go with that.
Oh yeah.
But we signed on I think a Tuesday. I think it was a Wednesday. He got fired a couple of days after that. They brought in Tom Hayes.
Okay.
They brought in Coach Hayes, who was the new defensive back coach. So I didn't really like that because I loved Coach more, and anybody knows Coach Proctor loves him to death.
Right.
Every time I see him, still hug him. A great man. So when I get to practice, I see Coach Selma. I said, Coach, can I ask you a question? He said, yes. I said, what would have happened if I would have went back to Virginia? He started laughing. So I'm looking, I'm like, what's so funny? So then he looks over to Gary Gibbs. He said, Gary, come here. So Coach Gibbs comes over. He says, tell Coach what you just said to me. And I said it again. And, Coach Gibbs, he is not a demonstrative person. He's a cool, collected, he's an intellectual.
Right.
Nice man. I'll tell you a good story about him in a second. He's an intellectual. So I said it again. He kind of said, see, that's the most you're going to get out of Coach. So I'm like, what's so funny? He said, PJ, there's planes. We just came to Virginia and got you. They never lied to me. They never pressured me. But I remember that. I'm 44. I remember that to this day.
Yeah.
To this day, I remember that. To this day, I remember that.
So,
it was amazing. And the last thing real quick, I got called into the office of Coach Gibbs' office. Again, kind of like with the high school deal, what'd you do?
What to do, yeah.
I'm not trying to portray myself that I was a bad kid, but hey, what'd you do?
Hey, your dad, you're a military.
He's got a lot of stuff to do. Why is he calling you in here today?
Well, you're a military kid, so I was a military kid. When Dad called me, that was always my first thing was what'd I do? If I did something wrong.
You know discipline,
right?
So I go in there, he sits me down, and he said, and he closed the door, and he looked at me and said, "You're not in trouble." And he started laughing. I said, "Okay, good." He says, "I just wanted to check on you." I said, "Why?" He says, "I ain't forgot your dad died a couple of months ago. I just want to see how you were doing."
That's cool.
Like, that meant so much to me, man.
Yeah.
It really meant so much to me that he took time out. And it was just, he didn't do it in front of cameras. He didn't do it in front of other players. He called me in the office and closed the door. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That was, I took that as real sincerity. And, whenever people talk about Coach Gibbs, obviously, he's following one of the, worst case scenario, 5 best college coaches of all time. Obviously, Coach Swiss is higher than that, in my opinion.
Right.
It's, he's top 3, wherever you put him. You got to respect what Bear and Nick Saban have done, but Swiss is right there.
You're right.
But I always say, look at Gibbs' entire resume.
Right.
No, he's not Barry Switzer. No, he's not Bud Wilkins. No, he's not even Coach Stoops. But don't forget that he started at linebacker for a national championship team at OU in the 70s.
Right.
He was an academic All-American. He was the defensive coordinator on either your favorite or second favorite defensive era, either your 70s or your 80s, or he was the defensive coordinator for those Bonds and Tony Casillas and all those guys during that great run in the 80s.
Right.
His contribution to OU should be saluted.
Oh,
as a head
agree.
coach, he didn't get done what we should have. But they only look at that man from that premise of just coach and not mention player and defensive coordinator.
Right.
They're not telling the whole story.
Right. Oh yeah. He was here for years. Like you said, from player.
Yeah, and he could have went to USC too in the early 80s.
But from player to coach to defensive coordinator, and we had Paul Miliazzo on here a couple of weeks ago with us, and
another great player for the 80s.
And he was talking, he brought up, Coach Gibbs and his contribution, to the Sooners, to that defense. The story, I can't remember exactly the story, but basically, I guess Coach Gibbs used kind of a big word, and they all didn't know what it meant. Do you remember? I can't remember what it was. Yeah. he basically told them to go look it up, and they'd understand what he was talking about. So
yeah, that would be him.
Yeah. Now, one thing you said earlier, you wore number 4 because of our good buddy Jamel Holloway. What's your connection with Jamel? Just like the way he played, or did you meet him sometime, or what?
Well, it's crazy. Okay, I remember, speaking of Virginia, I'm in Virginia, I'm watching television, I see a cat with a fur coat on and a Louis Vuitton bag on top of it. I'm like, hold up. I don't know who he is, but I like him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the aura and confidence.
Right.
It just exudes through the television.
Right.
This had a fur coat on Louis Vuitton. I'm like, hold on, who is this cat? Said Jamel Holloway, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pay attention to him. And when I was picking between different schools or whatever, because if I didn't go to OU, I was gonna go to Ohio State. Okay. When I got there, I met him my freshman year after we played Nebraska.
Right.
And he had heard about why I picked the number. And so, we got to know each other, pretty good. So, anytime we see each other now, it's like, hey, what's up, hug? Big brother, little brother. I don't see him much, but when I see him, it's all love. And it was just really cool because when I got to OU, they give you different numbers, but I was holding out for 4.
Right.
They gave me 4, so I was happy about that, and I wore that proudly. And I continue to say that 4 may be the 2 or 3 most consistent number in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
You go look at who wore 4 in the last 30 years. It's in that top 5 of consistency of the quality of players. Busta Rhymes on down the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the things that I love the most about OU is the camaraderie and the family. I always say OU La Familia, OU versus everybody. Actually, I'm about to get a T-shirt made to say OU versus everybody.
Right.
So that's how I feel. It's not disrespecting anybody, but you're taught when you get there. We were great before, and you'll be great after. It's your job to hold it high and pass it along with respect.
Right.
That's what you're supposed to do as though you. And when it comes to recruiting, you have to recruit to bring him here. You don't do anything that's against the rules, but you don't run nobody off.
Right.
You always need talent because steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron.
Right.
Those are rules around there.
Right. And good rules too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, let's get into some game stuff here.
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. For those, like I said, old guys like myself, you were a young man, playing back then. In 1994, you guys go up to Syracuse and play in the Carrier Dome. And first off, the Carrier Dome, if I remember right, and I remember watching that game, they were talking about the surface. That is like the flattest surface ever to play football on, isn't it? It's because they play basketball there and everything, and there's no crown at all.
But it wasn't the worst surface.
No,
the worst surface I played on was the old Missouri when they had the turf. Old Missouri was the worst surface ever. Well, when they switched over to grass, it was much better. But you could see the threading coming apart and see a little bit of the whatever it was.
The seams all over it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you could see the seams. Yeah. My first 2 years going when we had to deal with Missouri it wasn't necessarily the team, but the field was terrible.
Yeah. Well, in the Syracuse game that year. So for those of we have a lot of younger listeners. Rob, do you remember this game? The Syracuse at the Carrier Dome.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Garrick McGee was the quarterback. It was Gary Gibbs. Yeah, Gary Gibbs was the head coach. Oklahoma was ahead, 24-0 at halftime, and they were still ahead, 24-0 with about 7 minutes to play. Now, I hate to bring this up, PJ, but you almost gave me my first heart attack. I still haven't had one. But I believe that was the closest I came.
you weren't the only one.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what happened, and I'll tell you a funny story after that.
Okay.
This is exactly what happened. I messed up. Okay.
Yeah.
I messed up. So in the first half, they couldn't do nothing with me.
Right.
They couldn't do nothing with me in the first half. I had 4 or 5 catches. I ended up with 135 yards.
Right.
So in the first half, I think I beat the same guy that got me when I came back. The last possession, we had the ball before halftime. I don't know if it was a reverse or something. Well, anyway, I was coming lateral down the line of scrimmage. And I got tackled. And as I got tackled, I think I fell on either my side or my stomach. I'm trying to remember. But I know I got hit in the lower part of my back. The face mask, the cage from the opposing team from Syracuse, it got lodged in the bottom part of my back. And I felt a little discomfort, but okay, whatever. So I go into the locker room. When I come back out, I had such a good first half, they came to me the first series. I think I did some kind of cross the field route, I forgot whatever it was, but I caught it, and I was going down the sideline. And I think I got somewhere between the 30 and the 15, maybe the 20 to 15 yard line going in, and back spasm just hit me. Maybe further, maybe like 20, 25.
Yeah.
And back spasms hit me, and it just got tight on my back. Changed my stride, slowed me down. I'm not making excuses.
Right.
I messed up. I own it. I'm just telling you how it happened.
Right.
And it got tight, and I'm like, why am I slowing down? My back is getting tight, and the guy just tapped the ball out of my hands. It went through the end zone, and it changed. I always say this: momentum is not faithful.
Oh, yeah.
It changed the momentum of that game. We was handling those cats.
Yeah,
my mistake.
It wasn't a ball game.
My mistake turned it to, and that's why I always say, God bless.
Yeah, because it was just a couple of seconds left in that game when he kicked the field goal, because it ended up being a 30.
Every time I see him, he just starts smiling. I said, I know I owe you. Which one?
Because it ended up being 30-29, and Oklahoma won. It pulled it out. It was a crazy game. And seeing and being a Sooner fan like Rob and I are, we're gonna lay on this. Okay, it was a bad call. Okay, if we'd had instant replay, you'd have been in. So they didn't have instant replay back then. They couldn't look at it.
Well, I appreciate it, but I'm about accountability and telling the truth.
Yeah.
The thing about it, I was so amped for that game because, New York is nowhere near Virginia.
Right.
But I got to turn the East Coast.
Right.
So a whole lot of, it was going to be a nationally televised game, so a whole lot of people from where I'm from could see the game. So I knew a whole lot of people from my neighborhood was watching, so I wanted to perform, and I felt really good. We were winning. I had a good first half. My back was feeling weird, but I was feeling good.
Right. And I said, Oklahoma, it wasn't even a close ball game, and like you said, that just shows you, how momentum one instance can change the momentum, and the same thing happened.
One boneheaded play can change it. Let me ask you this: how often have you watched the game? The next time you watch that game, I want you to do one thing.
Okay.
I want you to see a guy I played with. He played linebacker, really good player, Tremaine Green. He makes a tackle, he does the splits like Prince on stage, and gets back up in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. It was hilarious.
But like you were talking about with the momentum with the USC national championship game that Oklahoma basically got blown out in, it was Derek Strait, wasn't it, Rob? That muffed
Bradley. It was Mark Bradley.
Yeah, Bradley. That's right. That muffed the punt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
After that, it was because up until that point, it was a fist fight. That game was great, and one mistake gave USC that I guess the drive and the momentum that just changed in my opinion, changed the course of history, because I thought that Oklahoma team was the best team that anybody ever stepped on a field with.
It was pretty good.
It was a good team, but
it was a really good team. It was a really good team. Now, I don't. Do I think that team was capable of beating USC? Yes, they were capable. We were definitely capable.
Right.
Very talented team. Was the Adriennes freshman here? No fool. I think it was Adriennes freshman year going to the national championship. It was very talented. But I contend, once we know the results, that USC team to me is the second best team of the 2000s.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the only team I put ahead of them is 0-1 Miami. 0-1 Miami is the best team I saw in 2000.
Right. Yeah, there's nobody can argue with that, even though I want to, because I don't like USC.
But our team, I think we had 10 guys go to the NFL off of that team.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
10 guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. That like, I thought we should have beat LSU in the national championship game. I thought we didn't put enough points on the board in the first half when we played Florida in another national championship game. So, I mean, we were close to winning 4. They're hard to win. We got at least 1.
Yeah. Now, jump back into your period of time and one of my favorite years, because I actually bought a shirt with this on it. In 1993, the Oklahoma team, they called it, Oklahoma won the Texas State Championship that year. Because you guys beat TCU 35-3, A&M 44-14, Texas 38-17, and then you beat Texas Tech in the Sun Bowl 41-10. So basically, Oklahoma beat all of Texas 158-44.
As it should be.
As it should be.
Yes, very nice, very nice back there.
Right.
Yeah, it was something that, listen, OU is about championships, but it's also about winning games and beating rivals. And obviously, Texas is pretty much only what I would consider the only rival we have left on our schedule every year. Now that Nebraska's gone,
right? Yeah,
but it was big. I mean, we were really proud of beating those Texas teams, especially guys that were from Texas.
Oh yeah,
they take a lot of pride in competing against guys who stayed in Texas. So that was always a lot of fun. And I'll say this. In a football game, that is the most joy and the most demonstrative I've ever seen Gary Gibbs.
Oh, really?
Beating Texas.
Beating Texas.
All the time to beat him, I believe. Beating Texas that year was about sophomore year, 93. We beat him. He. There's a point. I don't know if you see in the game footage. In the footage or whatever after the game. He literally jumps into Coach Selman's arms. That's just how happy they were. Obviously, they played together when they were in college, known each other for years. They're like family to each other. And for them to get that done, because you have to beat Texas.
Right.
You want to have a winning record, but you can't get out of that school and never win at least one.
Right. Yeah, and like I said, it's, right now it's the only rivalry game that Oklahoma has. Oklahoma State wants to say they're a rival, but
they're not.
It's not a rival. It's not a rival when we've only lost 18 games in 100 years. So that's not a rival.
They're not a rival at all. Right. And people get mad when I say that. This is not taking a shot at OSU. Well, I mean, when I was growing up, OSU was Ohio State, but OSU on this side of the country, is Oklahoma State for people in Oklahoma. Oklahoma State has done a good job,
right,
of acquiring talent, depth. They got a forward-thinking coach. Obviously, I know him a little bit because his brother was in school, so I knew him. When I was in school, Mike's a good guy. He's a smart guy. He's doing a good job. And you got to just tell the truth.
Right.
But the also truth is, they're not our rival. You can put yourself in a position to make yourself a big game a few years, over a decade, which they've done.
Right.
I'm going to tell the truth as I see it anyway. OSU has put themselves in position a few times during this era where it was a big game.
Right.
But they were never our rival.
No.
When I came to OU,
and I like the way you said that. It just your tone of voice. I just love that. But they're not a rival.
Yeah, they're not a rival. When we got there, they said you're going to play Texas, you're going to play Nebraska, and you're going to play Colorado, and then you're going to have some good non-conference games. We got USC coming in. We got A&M. They never said a word about OSU.
Yeah, never talked about OSU.
That doesn't mean we omitted them when it was time to get ready for them.
Right.
It just means that's not what they sold for us to come here.
Right.
They're not our rival at all.
Now, I wanted to touch base, move ahead a little bit now to the now times and your thoughts on Oklahoma now. It kind of ticked off the fan base here, myself and Rob included. Last week, in preparation for the FAU game, all the, this goes back to what you were saying is, the Oklahoma, Oklahoma doesn't like anybody, or it's Oklahoma versus the world, or against everybody else. Last week, all week long, and on game day, prior to the game, you heard Oklahoma and FAU upset alert. Mm-hmm. This game's going to be closer than people think. Yeah, Oklahoma's going to score, but FAU is going to be able to score. All this stuff, upset alert. You kept hearing that, okay? Oklahoma goes out and just dismantles FAU, and in my opinion, is a good team. I think you're going to see that as the year goes on. Those guys weren't slouches; they just got manhandled. But everybody after the game, on all all the guys who said upset alert was okay. Well, it's obvious that FAU wasn't as good as we thought. Did that, well, I mean, does that rub you? It rubbed me the wrong way. Is going, wait a second, okay, you're the expert sitting there on TV telling me what I'm supposed to think about these teams, but one that comes in and you're calling it an upset. How can you turn around and go, well, they weren't that good?
Well, that's the part that I would have the issue with. Now, if they came in saying Oklahoma's going to blow them out, and we blow them out, and they say, well, we thought that was going to happen.
Right.
Okay, that's one thing. But if you say upset alert, spoiler alert, or however they want to phrase it, and then OU comes out there and destroys them, give the team credit that did what you didn't think they were going to do before the game.
Right. Don't turn around.
You didn't think we were going to beat them like that before the game.
Right. And just say,
and that's fair.
Right. Don't say they weren't they weren't as good, but because I'm telling you, they're not a different team this week than they were last week. They're 0-1, but it was like everything that they said that morning that we were supposed to ignore. You know what I mean? Upset.
Right.
And it's going to be. I thought it was going to be closer than that. I thought the Oklahoma was going to beat them soundly. By 21, 24 points. Rob was him and another guy were about the only people that I know that called it. It was going to be a blowout, but
right. And I can understand it both ways. Oklahoma is more talented than they are. But sometimes. When you got a new quarterback, you've had a guy who won the Heisman Trophy, #1 pick. When you've had that continuity at the quarterback position, yes, we know Murray's talented, but chemistry and those type of things come into play.
Right.
And we exceeded the expectation in game one.
Oh yeah.
It was more crisp and defensively was better. And to me, everything in football starts up front.
Right.
O-line, D-line, everything starts up front. Decision-making on offense and your ability to do your assignment, get off of blocks, tackle in space, and be able to cover is going to tell me, is this team going to put themselves in a position to try to get back to that Final Four or not? The defense at Oklahoma has been the staple for decades.
Right.
It is time that we get back to what we're supposed to be defensive, period. The defense the last 2 years has not been where it's supposed to be. It's not been where it's supposed to be. And I don't say it out of joy. I say it out of pride for my school.
Right.
We need to get back to what we used to be, which is we dictate to you what's going to happen.
Right. Man, me and Rob feel like we're in Sooner Church right now, man. You said that, and we both got an amen going, and it was like, holy cow, yeah. That, and you're right. It's no disrespect or anything else to the last couple of days. It hasn't been the type of defense that Oklahoma has been known for, and that's what I call it drinking the defensive Kool-Aid. I'm still not drinking it yet. They got to do it week after week.
Right. You got to do it against better teams.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Right.
I'm not taking anything away from that win. But you have to do it against better teams. And let's be honest. So in the early 2000s, I'm not going to go back to Switzer and Wilkes and all those. In the early 2000s, the defense had great units.
Right.
D-line, linebackers plural, secondary plural. Now it's I'm not going to say necessarily now because I'll see how this year goes out. But for the last few years, it's been a guy here, a guy there, a guy there.
Right.
It hasn't been complete units, and we have to get back to having complete units. Guys up front who can get off blocks, seal holes, linebackers that can get off blocks, tackle in space, corners that can cover and tackle, and safeties that can clean up the rest of the mess.
Right.
I don't care what your names are. I don't care what your stars are. Our recruiting has to get better in this sense.
Right.
You have to be able to acquire depth and have guys, players and coaches, be able to spot talent, bring it in, and develop it.
Right.
If talent evaluation and development is the key to a football team and is successful over a long period of time.
And, you know, I think so far the last couple of recruiting, you know, or Lincoln's first 2 recruiting classes, he's got the stars. You know, now it's developing that talent and developing, like you said, you know, iron sharpens iron. What? How does it go again? You know, I mean, they're bringing in.
Let me tell you what scares it. Let me tell you what scares a college athlete in college.
Okay.
The bench.
Yeah.
The bench.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like if you got somebody, I remember when I was in school, Corey Warren, who was like my big brother, number 2, we call him Deuce. He was in front of me, and every day in practice, I tell him, man, I'm coming for your spot today.
Right.
And every day after practice, he said, keep trying.
Yeah.
Big brother, little brother, I'm a freshman.
Right.
You know, he was his 4th year there.
Right.
Because I believe Richard, if I remember correctly, 3rd or 4th year there. I'm younger than him. I'm coming. It ain't out of disrespect. I'm hungry.
Right.
I want to show y'all can count on me.
Right.
And he was like, okay, I like that, but you got to come through me to get it.
Right.
And that's what we need to be. And it's not player against player; it's competitor against competitor.
Right. Yeah.
That's what we would do.
And you know, and that's the thing I've liked hearing out of Oklahoma's camp this year is that the competitions have been better. You know, these guys are fighting for jobs. You know, they're fighting for that playing time.
That's because we got better talent coming in.
And
I think so.
And that's what you've heard a lot of the players say during camp was these young guys come in and are pushing us. They're, you know, I mean, you look at how many freshmen, you know, we had 2 freshmen start on defense, wasn't it? 2 or 3, you know, Buki and, the linebacker just went blank, Rob.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah, I know you're talking about the young talent level. I'm excited about. Also, I got to admit my bias. A guy who's also like a big brother to me. His son is on the team right now. I played with a guy named Reggie Barnes.
Mm-hmm.
His son is Robert Barnes.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So, yeah, that's my bias.
Yeah,
I want Rob. I mean, anybody that wears a uniform, I'm with you. OU lot familiar. OU versus everybody, like I said before. But he is the son of a really, really good friend of mine who's like a brother.
Right.
So Robert Barnes, I'm looking for big things from OU, period. Robert Barnes has potential because when he gets really comfortable and it clicks, yeah, you're going to see something because that kid has amazing ability.
Yeah. So what do you think is going to happen against the Bruins this weekend, UCLA? What do you think? Give us your thoughts on the game.
We don't turn the ball over.
Huh? There you go.
We don't turn the ball over, we'll win.
Yeah.
Now, again, you have to go out and earn every game.
Right.
Anybody can beat you if you have a bunch of turnovers and you're not focused, but we're a better team than UCLA.
Yeah.
We are. I think we got more ways to beat them than they do to beat us. Now, I have to also admit, in UCLA, a son of the nephew of a guy I played with, which is Corey Wilson. He's also the son of Chris Wilson, who was coaching on the Philadelphia Eagles. Both of them played at OU. He is going to be the tight end for UCLA. So
okay.
He is a very check him out. He's the son of a Sooner and the nephew of a Sooner. He got that blood in him.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. But
he's pretty good. So you got to watch out for him. He's got some skills. He's gonna be a guy that gets a look at the NFL.
Yeah.
He really will.
So give us a score. What do you think the score is going to be?
If we don't turn the ball over, I think we'll get. If we don't turn the ball over, I think we'll get high 30s, low 40s. I think we're playing better. I think we're playing a better talent base.
Right.
This week, so I don't think it'll necessarily be in the 60s. But we're capable of it.
Right.
I don't think it'll be in the 60s. I think it'll be depending on time of possession, who controls the ball, running, and different things like that. High 30s, low 40s. I think we'll get that.
Yeah. Oklahoma wins.
I'm excited about this year. I mean, obviously, Alabama and Clemson and Georgia are getting acclaim that they deserve. Georgia's on the way back. I thought Miami might be doing something, but they're not. We'll say that was a 1-year deal. But Georgia's coming. And listen, let me tell you, Georgia, if they do it right, I'm not talking them up. I'm just talking sports. If they do it right, they can beat the new Clemson.
Yeah. Because
all that talent in Georgia, if Georgia can put together a couple of nice recruiting classes and at least put themselves in a position where they look like they could be a threat to Alabama. Right. Watch Georgia become the new Clemson on that side.
Right. And which that would be fine with me, Georgia becoming the new Clemson, as long as Oklahoma becomes the new Alabama. So
can we address one thing too? Yeah. Address one thing. And this is not a shot at anybody, but Big 12 fans, whatever your school is, stop crying about national respect. Stop crying about it.
Yeah.
The way to get respect is to take it. I tell people all the time, ESPN are front runners. If you win, they'll talk about you.
Right.
The Big 12 hasn't won a national championship since 2005, right?
Right.
Right. So you want to win? You want to change the narrative? Go win a national championship.
Start winning.
That's what changes the narrative.
Right.
Go win. That changes the narrative.
All great points. Well, hey, PJ, we appreciate you coming on with us. Appreciate, loved all the great stories.
Absolutely.
And I know the fans out there, love hearing these stories and appreciate them, and you taking the time.
Well, man, listen, man, Oklahoma is like home for me as well. I'm always a Virginia kid, but I'm proud to be a Sooner. I'm proud to call Oklahoma home as well. And some great people there that have been extremely nice and supportive of me, whether it be Sooner fans, Plainsman fans, but much respect to the Plainsmen, just Oklahoma in general. It's a lot of great people. I didn't know what to expect when I got there, but there's a lot of great people there that if you work hard and you perform the best of your ability, they'll show you all kinds of respect even after you play. So it's been a joy playing for the best university in college football history. Biased, I admit it, but that's how I feel.
You're right.
And I'm expecting a very, very good year that could turn out to be even better than I think. And if so, I'll be at that championship game.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I want to say this. Thank you guys for thinking of me. Thank you guys for calling, giving me a platform to talk, because obviously I'm long-winded. I want to say best of luck to you guys.
I appreciate
you guys
it.
are well prepared. You're very nice. Podcast is something that is bubbling around this country, and I wish you guys nothing but blessing and the best with it, okay?
Well, hey, we appreciate it, and we hope we'll get a hold of it. We'll do it again sometime, okay?
No problem, man. Give me a call. You got the number.
All
Thanks,
right,
PJ.
appreciate
that
it.
was great.
All right, Boomer Sooner, baby.
Boomer, guys.
Boomer.
So that was former Sooner PJ Mills.
PJ Mills.
Rob, honestly, we've lived in Norman for a long time. This little goofy idea we had to do this podcast, and it's kind of like I said to him, can you believe we're actually talking to, we got former Sooners on? It's pretty cool, isn't it?
It's pretty cool. Yeah. I'm still having a good time. I don't know about you.
Yeah. It's like, I just thought, I said it was, when Wallace reached out with the deal with Paul Miliazzo, and I just thought, I don't know why I didn't think about it earlier, so I just got on and started doing a little bit of research, and next thing I know, I had 3 or 4 people lined up. I'm like, dang, that's.
It's still a fan podcast, but
but the fans like hearing.
But the fans like hearing.
Yeah.
I did.
Because what some great stories, but so it's our turn to pick. So do you want me to go first, or
I want you to go first? Okay. I might cheat and steal whatever it is.
Yeah, I got to write ours down too. So
oh boy,
let's see. I do think it's going to be a little bit tougher for a little while. This game, just simply because UCLA, they're better athletes than what we faced last week, even though they did get beat by Cincinnati. But I think it's going to be a little bit tighter for a little while. I don't know. I'm thinking 55. I'm going to say 55-24.
That's a good score.
Yeah, I just think the Chip Kelly factor, he's going to come in with something fit for that quarterback to run, and be, and I think it'll be a game for a quarter and a half, and then we're just going to demolish them the rest of the time.
Start making stretching the
start stretching them out, and I think we'll see our starters out there for 3 quarters instead of 1.5. When's the last time? And that's something we have brought. When is the last time you saw a starter at Oklahoma get pulled in the first half?
Yeah, I can't remember the last time.
That is ridiculous. I mean, and we've won some games blown, back in Bob's era and stuff that he, and that was his decision. He always left them in there to, work things out and stuff. But I couldn't tell you the last time I saw him pull a starter in because the game was that much in hand that quick. Mm-hmm. So anyway, all right, Rob.
So I've already said I kind of feel that similar to what you just said. But here's an interesting tidbit: is I don't think that he's going to pull those starters at half. Though I mean, Kyler, the whole starting cast, they need PT.
Right.
They need some, repetition. They need some plays. So I think they probably played deep into the third quarter, maybe even into the fourth quarter of this game. So I think we'll move the ball fairly efficiently and effectively. Mm-hmm. And I think we're going to score. We may not. I don't know. It's just. I mean, it's kind of stupid to pick a number, but I think, if they play us better than Florida Atlantic did, but we leave the starters in longer, we might score more. Mm-hmm. I'd probably go with, say 49-21. I don't know.
49-20. You don't sound confident. That last week you were confident, Rob.
Yeah, UCLA, they're just Florida Atlantic, I mean, they lost to Buffalo last year. UCLA beat some pretty good teams last year. I mean, but they also lost to some fairly mediocre teams. I already said that. So, are the athletes there? Are they not there? A lot of people dismissed from the UCLA team. They're starting quarterbacks out, but the backup really, I mean, he's kind of a stud. He didn't make a whole lot of good decisions. And so, I don't know. It's really hard to choose because, I think they're going to match up better with us.
Right. And it really doesn't matter, at least to me, what the score is as long as we win.
As long as we get the W?
Yeah, as long as we get the W.
So you'd be okay with 10-3?
Yeah, I'd be okay with 10-9. Like my dad used to always say, you can only beat somebody the worst you can beat somebody is by 1 point.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a good point, because everything else, it doesn't matter. All the other points you got doesn't matter. You beat them by 1. So. Yeah. But I know right now we need, because of the situation with the playoffs and the Big 12 and everything, we need style points. So, and I think you're right that he, regardless of the fact he's going to leave Kyler and those guys in there, and because UCLA should, and he even said it, bigger athletes, a little more athletic, to get that playing time because next week's a conference game.
Yeah, but let me say this while we're talking about it: if UCLA comes in here going, man, we just got our butts kicked by Cincinnati, and here we are playing number 5 team. If they come in with their head down, it could get ugly,
right? And
it could get ugly quick. And I still think Lincoln leaves the starters in till late third quarter, maybe early fourth. So I mean, I see a scenario where it's 77-3.
Yeah. It could be,
and we take the foot off the gas. So, but
I'm 77-3. I think this offense, and I'm being honest, I think this offense can score as many points as they want to score every game.
Yeah, well,
I saw nothing that said that this offense is going to sputter last week.
Yeah,
I
just feel like the guys are going to be electrified or whatever because the forecast is like 77 at kickoff.
Yeah, thank God.
77 with a nice cool breeze and maybe I don't know.
No rain, hopefully.
Man, that's the kind of weather you want to play football in right there.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's it for the tailgate like a champion and beat the Bruins. Come out to our tailgate at the corner of Brooks and Jenkins. We will be there bright and early Saturday. Just come by and say hi, have a drink with us, have a water with us, a beer, some snacks, whatever. Hopefully I'll have the TV situation worked out then, but don't bet on it. But just come by and sit down with us and talk and just say hi. You'll see us. We got a banner up. But everybody has got us beating the Bruins, so ought to be a good one. Enjoy it. And
every W is a good W.
Every W is a good W. That Rob.
I even like George W. So.
Yeah. So we'll see you next week. And go Sooners. Boomer Rob.
Boomer Terry.
Thanks for listening to the Sooner Football Fans Podcast. Hit the subscribe button right now on whatever app you're listening to download every episode as they come out. Check us out on Twitter and Facebook and on YouTube. Boomer Sooner.